Was the spokesman of the Jordanian delegation to the conference. If people remember, we started the conference with a joint Jordanian-Palestinian delegation because that was the condition that was placed by Israel for the Palestinians to attend. Despite that, there were two spokespersons, one for the Palestinian part of the delegation and one for the Jordanian one. I represented Jordan as the spokesman and Hanan Ashrawi represented the Palestinians. The idea of a joint delegation did not start with Madrid. Throughout the 80s, Jordan and the PLO went through a series of negotiations in order to come up with a formula that would satisfy both the Americans and that would be agreed to by Israel in order for negotiations to start. And that was the formula that was arrived at Madrid. The Israeli government was headed by a very big hardliner, Ishaq Shamir, who insisted on the Palestinians being represented through a Jordanian Palestinian delegation, who insisted on no Palestinians from Jerusalem, no Palestinians who were officially tied to the PLO. And so that was the formula. Of course, everybody knew that the Palestinian delegation coordinated very closely with the PLO. Everybody knew that there were Jerusalemites, if not on the official Palestinian delegation, but certainly people like Walid al-Khaldi, who was part of the Jordanian Palestinian delegation. So to bypass the conditions that Israel placed on the participation of Palestinians, we had to come up with this idea of a joint Palestinian Jordanian delegation, even though the delegation coordinated its positions closely, in fact, took orders from the PLO. And even though there were Jerusalemites on the joint delegation, people like Walid al-Khaldi, for example, once the Israeli elections were held in 1992 and the Shamir government failed and a new government came under Labor, headed by Ishaq Shamir at the time, that charade stopped. And from that point on, the delegation really split officially into a separate Jordanian delegation and a Palestinian delegation. In each, in the first, let's say, year under Shamir, we had every Palestinian delegation or every negotiations with the Palestinian part of the delegation with Israel was attended by two Jordanians, and every Jordanian negotiation session was also attended by two Palestinians. We met regularly, I would say daily, in order to coordinate positions. And again, at the time, the Israeli position, the Israeli delegation really was just buying time. Shamir did not hide the fact that he went to Madrid despite his positions as a result of the first Gulf War in 1990-91. The Americans put a lot of pressure on the Israeli government to participate, but he had no intention of negotiating in good faith or in advancing the negotiations. So it was a very tough period for all of us, not just in Jordan, but for the Palestinians, for the Syrians and the Lebanese as well. And it was a period where we needed to coordinate very closely in order to tackle this transition Israeli position. There was certainly optimism then. It now seems a long, long time ago, but at the time, there was an American sort of push in order to end the Arab-Israeli conflict. This came at the heels of the first Gulf War, in which America was very unpopular in the region and felt that it needed to do something on the Arab-Israeli front. 4 Arab delegations went to Madrid, so there was a sense of a collective effort in order to end the conflict and not to arrive at separate settlements. The Americans kept pushing, for negotiations to advance, and there was hope. I can't say it was hope that the negotiations will necessarily be successful, but there was hope to break the stalemate that was there since the occupation of 1967. That hope was first rekindled by the first Palestinian Intifada in 1987, which, in a way led to Madrid, as the international community became aware that there was an occupation that cannot be sustained. That hope, of course, has long disappeared since then, and we live today in a very different era to the one that we experienced during the Madrid process. As I indicated before, we faced 2 phases of the Israeli delegation. The first phase was during the Shamir era, in which it was clear that the Israelis were not intent on any advancement of the peace process, and that they were going through the motion, but without any real intention to move the negotiations further. During the second phase, under Rabin, there was movement, but very slow movement. The real negotiations, particularly between the Palestinians and the Israelis, were taking place elsewhere, in Oslo, in what was then a secret channel that we did not know about. Even the official Palestinian delegation in Washington did not know about. But things, like I said, did change, but very slowly after Rabin came to power. Once the Oslo channel was announced in August of 1993, then the negotiations in Washington stopped between the Palestinians and the Israelis, because it became clear that this is not where the action was taking place. And the negotiations between Jordan and Israel continued after that, leading to the peace treaty in 1994. Main failing of Oslo, if you will, which is a in a way a byproduct of Madrid, but of the whole process. The main failing was that the status quo was not preserved, and that settlement activity was allowed to continue while negotiations were taking place. That meant that we were negotiating, or the Palestinians in particular, were negotiating over a status quo that was changing. I often half-jokingly say it is akin to 2 people arguing over a slice of pizza while one of them was eating it. And settlement activity basically mushroomed from the time that Oslo was signed in 1993, when the settlers' numbers were about 250,000, to a situation today where the settlers' numbers has mushroomed to over 700,000 people, or about 25% of the population of the West Bank. That was the main failing, that settlement activity was not checked as a result of Oslo, and Israel felt it was not held accountable for the continuation of such activity. And as a result, it did not feel under any pressure during any part of the process to stop settlement activity. 30 years down the road, we are paying the price, to the point that a 2-state solution, which was basically the preferred and maybe still the preferred outcome of the international community, that outcome has been almost killed by the continuation of settlement activity, among other things. Success came about in the form of breaking the stalemate in the peace process that has governed it since the occupation in 1967. From 1967 to 1991, basically, Israel occupied the Palestinian territories without any real hope for a breakthrough that would end the occupation and establish a Palestinian state. Madrid came to at least bring all the parties together, and not just the Palestinians and the Israelis, but the other Arab parties as well, the Syrians, the Lebanese, and the Jordanians, in an effort to see whether a breakthrough can be achieved and an end to the occupation can take place. The failings, as I said, is that Madrid and Oslo did not establish a proper framework for these negotiations to take place in good faith and to take place while the status quo was static. Today, we are living in a post-Oslo, post-Madrid era. The new generation of the West Bank and Gaza, the new generation of Palestinians, almost all of whom were born after Madrid and Oslo, do not feel that this process has resulted in an end to the occupation and in giving them the minimum demands that they rightfully want to govern themselves. Today, the new generation in the West Bank and Gaza feel that what is being offered on the table is a stump of a Palestinian state that does not include Jerusalem, that does not include the right of return, that it does not include settlement land, that it does not include the Jordan Valley, that has very limited sovereignty. And what this generation is saying is that, this is not a viable solution for the future. And we are seeing increasingly large numbers, perhaps now a majority of the new generation of Palestinians who are shifting their focus from the shape of a solution to their rights. And now they're adopting a rights-based approach, which has been acknowledged, by the way, by our latest Carnegie report on the conflict. They're shifting their focus to a rights-based approach, basically saying that the international community cannot wait another 30 years trying to solve the conflict while ignoring the violations of human rights that Israel is, imposing in the West Bank and Gaza, and that whatever solution the conflict ends up with, whether it is one state or two states or anything else, it has to be based on equal rights for both Palestinians and Israelis. Madrid framework for peacemaking and subsequently the Oslo framework was tried by the international community for the last 30 years in a noble effort, in a serious effort to end the occupation and establish a two-state solution that would meet the minimum requirements of all communities. That framework is dead. When we talk today about the Madrid framework, it is only so that we can draw lessons from it, but it is not to keep it artificially alive, any longer. The Oslo framework for establishing a viable Palestinian state has exhausted all its possibilities. And today we are living in a situation where the Israeli government publicly, openly states that it is not, that it does not intend to withdraw from the West Bank, that it does not intend to help create a viable Palestinian state, that the whole Oslo framework and Madrid framework does not make, sense to them, to the Israeli government. And so in the absence of any push from the international community to affect such a solution, I think it is futile to keep clinging to such a framework. A lot of Palestinians, of course, particularly those from the Oslo generation, who have helped establish Palestinian institutions in parts of the West Bank and Gaza, are reluctant to acknowledge this fact. Privileges have been acquired, institutions have been created, and there is a feeling that, after decades of developing a Palestinian national identity and Palestinian institutions, it is not easy to abandon all this and look after alternative solutions. To me, one has to accept facts on the ground. If there is no two-state solution, and I don't see the conditions for such a solution emerge in the foreseeable future, and since settlement activity is not ending, then if it's not feasible in the short term, I don't think it is feasible in the long term. I think it is about time to start looking at different approaches. But in any approach, we assume the main criteria, in my view, should be based on a rights-based approach. Any approach to a final conflict, outcome of the Arab-Israeli conflict, has to be based from now on equal rights. One cannot wait for the end of the occupation, which we have no idea when it will happen. One cannot wait for such an outcome to ignore the fact that there are people under occupation are being treated through a separate legal system by Israel, which is the textbook definition of apartheid, that such a situation cannot be sustained indefinitely, and that the international community will have to sooner or later deal with the fact that it cannot forever say no to a Palestinian state and no to equal rights, because that is tantamount to saying yes to apartheid. And we have to, from now on, look at creative solutions, but solutions that are based on equal rights.